village clerk, and in the absence of village president Roger Byrne, let's first establish a quorum and then have a vote on the president pro tem. So Lisa, if you could.
Trustee Marquardt?
Here.
Trustee Schultz?
Here.
Trustee Schwartz?
Here.
Trustee Williams?
Here.
Trustee Hebda?
Here.
Trustee Cook? President Byrne?
Okay, a quorum's established. Is there a motion to appoint a president pro tem?
Motion to appoint Trustee Williams as President Pro Tem.
Second.
Roll call?
Trustee Marquardt?
Aye.
Trustee Schultz?
Aye.
Trustee Schwartz?
Aye.
Trustee Williams?
Aye.
Trustee Hebda?
Aye.
Trustee Cook?
Motion carries.
There's a quorum. Would you all please stand and join me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm just going to stay here. The mayor will be here. Okay. Are there any citizens that wish to address the board this evening? Nothing? Okay. Village President August, Village Board meeting rescheduled to August the 13th. The next one is rescheduled to August the 13th at 7 p.m. Alrighty.
And the following one to the 27th.
Thank you. Yes. And the next one, they'll be pushed up to the 27th.
And do we wish to do anything with the September meeting, seeing as how I believe the first one is scheduled for the day after Labor Day? Not a big deal to me, but
No, I think it's, I'll check, but I believe it's the Wednesday.
Yeah.
We usually change it or the next week. I don't have it
We usually
with
push it at least a day or
Yeah,
a week, one of the two.
pretty sure we changed it.
I think that's
but I-
been done because my calendar shows it on Wednesday, and that
Yeah.
means somebody
yeah, no.
told me.
I guess the only issue would be if we pushed those out one additional week, then when we got to October, we'd still have a week after the last meeting in September, so we'd still be on the same kind of bi-weekly cycle.
Oh, every other.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying, yeah,
Yeah.
you're saying then that would be on the 8th, yeah.
Oh,
That's
what's the
true.
board's pleasure?
Give us a break 1 week.
Are you satisfied with the Wednesday, or you want to go to a week later? Any comments?
Hold on.
I guess I should get my calendar out.
So you're thinking the
So-
10th and the
so-
24th?
Yeah,
It's the 17th right now.
yeah. Of course, then October 1st is the first Tuesday. So, I mean, you're always going to have that.
Gonna have that.
And then there's 5 Tuesdays in October. So you're really going to always have
Oh,
that kind
I
of
see.
Yeah.
thing
You have
going
to
on.
change everything.
Doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
I mean-
We'll just go with the Wednesday, if there's no objections. Just leave it that way. It's a good thought, though, Jim. Thanks. Okay, the next item is village manager for summer celebration update.
Thank you very much. Let me, if you'll indulge me, let me thank a whole bunch of people. First, let me thank our corporate sponsors. I'll just name a few. These are the cultural partners in addition to probably 15 other ones. CDW, American Hotel Register, Taxman Corporation, Worth Bear Supply, Steinoffel's Furniture, PowerLink Electric, Rust-Oleum, Walmart, and Advanced Disposal. They really, provide, a number of those corporations provide year-round sustenance, so to speak, for events in the village, and we thank them. And as I said, there's a number of other companies in town that provide in-kind services, food, prizes for the bags tournament, you name it. People really chipped in and provided a lot of services for us, as they always do every year. And that's part of what makes for a wonderful community event. And any of you who were there and saw the beer tent. Those people, along with another, like I said, 15 or 20 other businesses, were recognized in the beer tent, so, with banners. And then a thank you, of course, to Mayor Byrne and the village board for being supportive over the years. I know the committee thanks you, and I'd just like to mention all the committee members who put in hundreds of hours a year. I mean, again, I know I say this every year, but they meet at least 10 times a year, and then during the event, they are there literally the 4 days, but then they're also there the Sunday before, early in the morning. They're there. We had basset classes, and all the committee except one was there on Monday night. Tuesday night, we had another set of basset classes. And Wednesday, we get over to the site to talk about the event. So people put in a tremendous amount of time. Brandon Atkins did a great job on the grounds, the logistics taken over from Matt Bartlett. And again, Public Works helped us a lot. Tremendous assistance. Jamie Atkins, his wife, she works on the entertainment and the hospitality with the entertainment. Sue Hoffman, she, for the first time this year, did all the food vendors, which you can imagine, coordination. And we did have a few issues to discuss with the health department, so that's an active, besides arranging spaces. There's also other activities. Joe Hoffman from the food and beverage, from the beverages. He ran the bar and all the beverages, and took over for Kent Overholzer. And Kent, that's one of the highlights for me of the event, is the mayor mentioning Kent from the stage, because he booms out. Kent's got a great name, Overholzer. But Kent, he's done it, that management and all that work for, I'm sure, well over 20 years, volunteer, and he's retiring this year. And I hope I can do what Kent, when I get to be Kent's age, I hope I can do what he does at like 1 a.m. He's just an amazing person, a really hard-working guy, and he'll be missed. I told him, you got to come back though next year and at least 10 bar. But he's a great guy and did a lot of good things for the committee. Brian Klemstein, he coordinates all the volunteers, which, as you can imagine, is a lot of work. There's a lot of volunteers, and I want to emphasize that many people from the community, upstanding. He's probably dozing off out there, but Cliff Young is one of the guys who works. Cliff came to the basset class. He comes every night. He stays the entire time to do ID check. Rick and Jerry Cotton collect money for the tickets. I think they were there every single night. I mean, there's some volunteers that go way beyond the
Cliff
Call
was
of
even
Duty.
there late
Yeah.
Saturday night,
Mhm.
and then up at 6:30 out to do Run from Cops. So,
So,
thank you.
yeah, and then, good segue, Ina Marquardt, a person you know.
I know.
She runs the VIP tent, coordinates the food for the volunteers and the committee trailer, and Ina does a great job. Kathy Zarillo, and this is one of those sad things, took over, and Sue Suchland, who passed away a number of weeks ago, did all the financial stuff. And for both Sue, thank you for all her past work. Her family was all out there. Tom, Brian, Kyle were out there working the whole time, and it was really great to see them, and great for the committee to see them. And but Kathy took over the finances, and as you can imagine, one of the least fun things to do when you have rock music and carnivals and food is to sit in a trailer and count money. But Kathy did it, and Sue did it before, so thanks to Kathy. And then Tony Pastorino, one of our friends, she did the new logo this year, a great logo. and also did work on the website along with Lisa Fishback. Thank you to Lisa. And worked on an updated website, so thank you to her. And she did the flyer also, the brochure that we did for the event, Tony did. So thank you to her. Then Erin McElroy, Erin, the mayor's daughter, coordinates entertainment, the contracts, and works with Jamie on that. And like I think I talked to several of you. It was outstanding. Saturday night, the place was really packed, and it was one of those Saturday nights that was, the venue was full of people. It was a lot of fun. And then just to mention a couple of people, Kristen Marquardt, another person Trustee Marquardt knows, and Charlotte Hoffman. You'll recognize a few of those last names, but they worked on the social media, and both Kristen and Charlotte also worked the event. And again, it was, we had a lot of fun all those nights. And again, not to forget Public Works, all the work that they did out there, as well as, and Dave knows this too, the Park District. I think I counted like 5 of their people out there. It was hard to see them at 1 o'clock in the morning, but they were out there picking up things and doing all the things that need to be done, after an event like this. So it looks like the event didn't happen the next day, that one, as you know.
Yes.
So anyway, but that was great, and the police department was great. We had, we had a couple little things we had to decide on during the event, and
Next year.
Deputy Chief Rick Davies was there, and Commander Zimmerman was in charge for the 4 days, and the chief, as always, showed up and enjoyed one of the nights that we had our time. Yeah. Did you have your Snickers, your deep-fried Snickers?
No, I'm sorry, I didn't get
Oh, you
around to
missed
that
that
tent
one.
this time.
So, and then last but not least, I must say, and she'd be embarrassed, she's not here tonight, though, so I can do this, but Lynn DeAnda, our executive secretary, she coordinates. Lynn, you gotta, send the PO to the ice company. Lynn, you gotta call the Blues Travelers, agent. Lynn, you gotta do this, so she only does maybe about 50 or 60 things, tied in. And I'm sure the committee would be the first group of people to say, Lynn's great. She gets everything done and gets it done right away. So that's a wonderful thing. So I think I'll stop there. Again, there's many thank yous, and the community, it's really great. It's really fun to see all those people out there, and they dedicate their time, and everybody's having a good time.
There's one thank you did miss, and that's your thank you. Thank you for doing all the work that you've done, Mike, too, because I know you were there every night as well. So we appreciate your work, too, so don't be remiss, and you've done a
But
great job.
tending bar is fun.
Yeah, it is.
And I did take the Bassett class,
Yeah,
both
I-
of them. So, thank you. And then I guess I could segue one more thank you to both the police and Public Works for the weekend before. I mean, there's a lot of things happening in July in Vernon Hills, but is the Pipe City Festival.
Yes.
And, who knows? I was told we maybe had 10,000 people in town, and it sure did seem that way. I did ride my bike out there. It's a little safer than driving out there to the VX. But thanks to the police, Public Works, and once again, the Park District had people on the site, and Public Works was out there. And Tom, just to mention one person, Tom Bretman did a fantastic job of coordinating things, and Steve, his compatriot Steve Masloff, was with him, as well as other Public Works employees. But that was a great event. A lot of, as we say in the Visitors Bureau, heads in beds, hotel stays, restaurants were crowded, all that type of thing. So it was a good event. Went well. So thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Thanks for that update, Mike. And I'd just like to add my thank you, not just to the, as you stated, not just to the committee and the volunteers, but our staff. Our staff work hard on all of our events, and we certainly appreciate it. And specifically to the police and the Public Works Department. I know you guys are over there all the time. Staff's leading the way and telling you what to do, so there you go. Thanks again. Next item on the agenda is the omnibus vote. Items A through, oh, no, it's A through C.
A through
Aye.
I'm still paging here, wait a minute.
L.
A through L, thank you.
L?
Is there a motion, or
Motion to approve?
is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second?
Wait, I only got through I.
Aye.
I. A
Is it
through
I?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. did
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, then I-
Okay, I don't know, I still haven't found the end.
There you go. Yep. A through I.
So,
Oh,
A through I. There's a motion and a second to approve. Can we have a roll call, please?
Trustee Schultz?
Aye.
Trustee Schwartz?
Aye.
Trustee Williams?
Aye.
Trustee Hebda?
Aye.
Trustee Cook? Trustee Markwart?
aye.
Okay, motion carries. Hang in there a minute. Come on. Oh, now. Unfinished additional business, approval of Kemper voucher list of bills dated July 23rd in the amount of $25,062.93.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Motion and a second. Can we have a roll call, please?
Trustee Schwartz?
Abstain.
Trustee Williams?
Aye.
Trustee Hebda?
Aye.
Trustee Cook? Trustee Markwart?
Aye.
Trustee Schultz?
Aye.
Motion carries. Approval of the July 9th, 2013 Village Board meeting minutes.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Motion and a second. Can we have a roll call?
Trustee Williams?
Aye.
Trustee Hebda?
Aye.
Trustee Cook? Trustee Markwart?
Aye.
Trustee Schultz?
Aye.
Trustee Schwartz?
Aye.
Motion carries. Under new business communications, item A, approval and passage of a resolution 2013-134, resolution amending resolution 2012-001, authorizing the village manager to execute a new lease agreement with the Lake County, Illinois General Geological Society to allow for use of a proportion of the lower level of the Vernon Hills Village Hall located at 290 Evergreen Drive. Is there a motion?
So made.
Second?
It's a motion and a second. Could we have a roll call, please?
Trustee Hebda?
Aye.
Trustee Cook? Trustee Markwart?
Aye.
Trustee Schultz?
Aye.
Trustee Schwartz?
Aye.
Trustee Williams?
Aye. Item B, approval and passage of ordinance 2013-135, a resolution granting approval to operate an outdoor event for Calzone and Macaroni Company, the adjacent property located at 260 Hawthorne Village Commons. Is there a motion?
Just thinking on it.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second?
Comments or questions? Comments or questions? No. Could we have a roll call, please?
Trustee Cook? Trustee Markwart?
Aye.
Trustee Schultz?
Aye.
Trustee Schwartz?
Aye.
Trustee Williams?
Aye.
Trustee Hebda?
Aye.
All right. I think I missed one. Wait a minute.
No, I think we got it.
Nope, that was it.
Certainly been threatened.
Okay. Do we need to recess?
No.
And we're going to close
We
session.
would adjourn to closed session after the committee
Yeah.
meeting with no intent. to
But we will
return.
not
Right,
come back
no,
after the
correct.
executive session? Okay. So there will be an executive session, but we will come back. And the executive session is for
Threatened litigation.
threatened litigation.
And pending litigation.
And,
Pending,
right.
and pending litigation. A lot of litigation going on.
Pen and threat.
All of that good stuff. Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. I'll signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Board meeting is adjourned. Want to go right into committee meeting of the whole? If there are no objections, I will do that. Approval of minutes of the committee of the whole meeting of July the 9th.
Motion to approve as published.
Second?
The motion and a second. Can we have a roll call, please?
Trustee Schultz?
Then there-
Aye.
Trustee Schwartz?
Aye.
Trustee Williams?
Aye.
Trustee Hebda?
Aye.
Trustee Cook? Trustee Markwart?
Aye.
Motion carries. Vernon Hills Athletic Association finances and future plans. They're not here.
Trustee, correct. I put this on the agenda because I wanted to ask, I sent out to you, a couple of you have asked about it, so maybe I goofed and didn't send it to you, but their response was, you may recall, someone, I forget which one of you, asked them to attend, their entire board, to attend a future village board meeting. Well, they couldn't make the last one, they couldn't make this one, and so they suggested as an alternative, 2 of you attend their meeting. So.
It's not an
I-
alternative.
Well, I'm,
agree.
you know, they're suggesting it's alternative, I'm not. So anyway, so I
We
wanted
have
to raise it
our-
to you, how you want to approach this.
What was it we were actually discussing? Because it's been delayed so many times. What were we going to be talking about?
Well, I think anybody jump in, of course, but I think it was the whole thing of what are you doing going forward? What services are you providing? There was a question, I believe,
It
that
was-
came up with them changing their names and what are they
Right.
going
But didn't it have something
forward?
to do with the monies being collected for the concessions, or it was something to do with
Right,
concessions?
and the other
too?
thing is you approved the concessions agreement, however you wanted them to appear, and to be frank about it, I really don't quite know what their name is right now. I think it's the Vernon Hills Athletic Association, could be the Vernon Hills Youth Athletic Association. We
Formerly
know
known
it's
as-
not what it used to be.
Which was?
It was the Vernon Hills Cougars Youth
Thank you.
Athletic
Just for the
Association.
benefit of
They
those
took the
watching.
Cougar
Yeah.
out because of the association,
Confused
the
with the school.
school.
high school.
It was
That's-
being confused with the school,
So
right?
they, so that's what.
So we need to confirm that.
Well-
So anyway, but I wanted to bring that before you, how you wanted to approach that. So,
Let me ask this question. If the entire board could not attend, could the main officers of the board attend?
From what I understand is that they're changing right now, in fact, the officers of the board, is that
they
correct?
said they're having 4 new board
They have 4 new board members. They haven't gone through all of it. It's going to be done shortly, but that's one of the reasons why.
Well, here's my directive. We've given money. I'd like to know, are they profit, non-for-profit? What's their name? Who's involved? And I would think it'd
Who's
be
being paid?
appropriate to send a letter
And how
saying,
much?
give us some dates when you believe you can attend a board meeting, because we would just like to know. We're in a partnership here, and I believe that's, want to be able to find out and answer some questions in terms of what they're doing, where they're going, what's their long-range vision, are they going to survive or not survive?
And
That's
I
the
don't
least
think
we
that-
deserve.
And I think that's the least
Absolutely.
I can ask of
Correct.
them. is to
I
come
I
and
can
talk
only
to us.
answer a few things because I'm a coach there, but.
I want to hear it from them.
but that's
the
it
least
then.
we
But
deserve.
I don't think anybody here is saying, okay, we're not going to continue working
No.
with you. But we do want to work with you, but we want to know what is going on. And the only way that can be addressed is if their officers come here and talk to us. We're not going to go 2-on-2 to their meetings. They need to come here and address us as a board. So they need to tell us when they can come.
Great.
And if not, then we're going to have to sit down amongst ourselves and decide what we're going to do.
There's been
I hate to
several
play
issues
hardball,
raised
but I'm
by,
tired of the game.
there's been several issues raised by our citizens
Yes.
concerning, who's getting paid, who's not, whatever, the status of certain affiliations. They're going out acquiring, or trying to acquire, enter into contractual obligations
And a
with
lot-
the
a lot of
school
things are
district
going on.
when they can get services for free from the park district. There's we had another scheduling issue 2 weeks ago, I guess. It was in the transmittal that, again, the park district's gone to all this expense of putting in place a scheduling system, and there were more teams on fields than there were fields
With the
available
field
for those
available
teams
with that.
because someone didn't follow the protocols. And so we got to get these
I don't-
people working together
I
a
don't know
little
if
bit better.
It wasn't so much the field. I think usually the baseball
It-
and
it-
softball are at VHAC,
Right.
and usually the park district does
maintenance.
The only thing that they
Oh,
do
we were
have is
doing
the,
some maintenance. I think it was
Mhm,
partially
right.
us. We wanted those fields down so we could
well, we had
recoup them.
also Pipe City,
Right, but that was after the fact. That was after Pipe City. We're
well,
trying
we
to
had to fertilize, see, football
Right.
now is starting to go into effect, so it's.
Right.
Right.
It's a
But
little
we've got all
hectic.
these communication things, and again, there's, courts available and things like that, and yet there's, my understanding, they're trying to enter into into contracts with the school district when
Well,
when the,
I
The
think
park
we have
district?
been very supportive of their organization all
Hmm.
along. And they at least owe us the courtesy of coming here and talking to us. So if you try to get us some dates that they can be available, we'd like
I'll
that.
send them
Please do,
communication. Okay.
please do. Next item on our agenda is request to amend Resolution 2012-17, amending the outdoor dining and seating establishment permit, allowing additional seating for Real Urban Barbecue at 1260 South Milwaukee Avenue. Hello,
How are you?
I am fine. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Good. Don't suppose you brought us any samples?
No,
Any
thank-
samples?
Checking. It's dinner time, what can I say? No, I'm just kidding. I did go over and take a look at how it was set up already, and I agree, you can't get more tables in there unless you put a bunch of little tiny two-seaters or something, or maybe one-seater. So we looked at your drawing, so I know what you're talking about doing. I think I know. You're kind of going to come out at an angle off of that,
Yeah, we're just
that
gonna
south end.
kind of just take where it attaches to the building, so the fire department
Mm-hmm.
will still have accessibility to the box outside. We're just gonna turn it at an angle and come straight out into basically the current sidewalk, but still fall within the lines of the outdoor seating. Hopefully be able to pick up about 12 more seats, is what we're shooting for.
Oh, which is a couple more tables,
3.
3 more tables. Okay.
But it will help tremendously because we've currently got people sitting during lunchtime on the benches in front of all the other businesses with, they're sitting there eating on their trays.
Right.
So,
I'm
we
not
thought
up
it
there
will
at
help a little
lunchtime, but I
bit.
see it at night, so I know what's going on over there. There's a lot of people, which is a great thing for you and for the village. I'm quite proud of the way that development down there has grown. I did go over and look at the area, so I have a pretty good idea of what you're talking about. I don't have an objection to this. Does anyone else have a,
No, don't have an objection.
is there any questions or comments?
motion.
Is there a motion?
Yeah, motion to direct staff to create the necessary ordinance to allow for this modification.
Second?
There's a motion and a second. Could we have a roll call, please?
Trustee Williams?
Aye.
Trustee Hemda?
Aye.
Trustee Cook? Trustee Markwart?
Aye?
Trustee Schultz?
Aye.
Trustee Schwartz?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
So now that this
We'll have
won't
it on the floor.
bias your decision, I can thank Mr. Shapiro. He was one of the contributors to summer celebration.
Yes, he was.
you.
So thank
you.
you. And it was very much appreciated.
Take care. Bye-bye. Next item on the agenda is Green Meadow Subdivision request to modify the approved PUD and final plat of subdivision by Chicago Capital Holdings.
Thank you. As you will recall, Green Meadow was originally known as Greenleaf subdivision and was approved in 2006 under Ordinance 2006-19. It created the PUD, it allowed for the construction of 16 townhomes, it created the utility easements and private road easement, and that was it. Since that time, as you know, the original developer has gone bankrupt. We drew on the letter of credit and completed about 95% of the improvements, maybe a little bit more, Dave, depending on where we are. But the property has now been acquired by Chicago Capital Holdings, LLC, with the intention of building out the project as originally approved. They have made some modifications to the architectural elevations, but the density will remain the same at 16 townhomes. They have, in your packet is a revised plat of subdivision that will create 5 lots, which will contain the townhome buildings, along with a 6th lot, which will be Outlot A, that will, in fact, subdivide the property. The road will remain private. Their easements will remain in place. The only change in this plat is that it will create the 5 individual lots with the outlot for the balance of the property. The petitioner is proposing to build out the project and sell the units as fee-simple townhomes instead of townhomes originally platted as condominiums. In essence, what the petitioner is proposing is that the subdivision will allow for the sale of individual units and a portion of the land that the units are located on to an individual or the like. The common areas will be held in single ownership by the homeowners association. And that's really the difference that we're talking about here. The reason you're asked to consider this tonight is that Article 20 of the zoning ordinance allows for the village board to review the plat and the PUD, and it addresses what is termed insubstantial changes to the final PUD development plat. And basically what this says is it requires that the final plat shall conform substantially to the approved preliminary plat, that it further provides that the board shall make findings that any modification to the plat does not change the concept or the intent of the preliminary plat. It doesn't increase the density by more than 5%, nor does it decrease the amount of common open space or change by more than 5% the total ground area covered by structures or buildings. In this case, the proposed Green Meadow subdivision, which is the new name that's being proposed, does not impact the final PUD development plat regarding any of these items. Doesn't increase the density, doesn't do anything. It just creates lots around the individual buildings which were approved as a part of the original PUD. The approved site plan, density, and open space do not change. Again, in your packet is a copy of the Green Meadow plat and information related to the development. The petitioner is requesting that the committee of the whole make the findings that the proposed amendments to the final PUD plat are insubstantial as set forth in subsection 20.2.5.1 of the zoning ordinance and conforms with the approved preliminary plat. So with that, I can answer any questions. I also have, if you feel that this is an appropriate direction, I've prepared 2 motions for your consideration. The petitioner's here tonight and he can answer any questions with regards to the development itself and how it's going to move forward. But I guess I'll start first to see if there's any questions that you all may have with regards to the development.
I have 2.
Trustee Schultz.
I have 2. The first is I need an education. Why?
I'm sorry?
Why?
Why?
WHY.
I think the answer to that is it's just a different form of ownership of who's going to own the units and in what form. Initially, it was set up that the units would be, the whole project would be a condominium. So you'd own a unit. And now what they're doing is they're changing it to fee simple so that I'll buy a townhome with maybe a foot or 2 on either side, the front and back. That's the parcel, and the rest would be common area. So to me, driving by, I'm not going to see anything different and know anything different.
So you haven't answered my question. Why?
Because it's a change of ownership. It's probably a financial bank situation to make it.
Maybe
easy,
the
but
petitioner can come up and answer that.
Still haven't said why.
Well, he can.
2, 3 sentences.
If you'd state your name for the clerk, please.
Yes, John McFarland, Chicago Capital Holdings.
You may want to use the hand mic.
You're tall.
Typically a lot better. You probably have to turn it on, though.
Straight up.
There's just one reason. I'll be short and sweet. It's purely for end loan financing. It's much easier to get a mortgage, a purchaser to get a mortgage on a fee simple purchase than a condominium, a mortgage for condominium units that typically require pre-sale. In today's financing world, pre-sale requirements, things like that. It's just much cleaner, easier to sell units that way.
Okay. With that being said, my concern is in 15 or 20 years, when new roofs are needed, is it a association that determines that there will be conformity and that everyone has a vote, but when the vote is done, it'll all be uniform? Or because you own this particular, you can have one of these, what I'll call straight up a ghetto that I see in Niles and some of these other communities, where you have a brown roof, a green roof, a black roof, and a whatever, and a gray roof on a 4-unit condo building. So am I allowing that to then happen?
No, there are detailed declaration and bylaws and a townhome owners association document that specifically prohibit anything like that.
All right,
There's-
so how does that decision get made when it comes time for new roofs or whatever?
Well, if a building needs a new roof, the association, dues are collected by the association to pay for that roof. An individual doesn't
All right,
doesn't pay.
I don't hear the association being part of this deal any longer.
No, that's there's.
No, there will still be a property owners association. The difference is before there used to be condominium association. Now there will still be a property owners association. There will still be common areas that will be maintained by the HOA. And I'm reviewing the documents now, and John has looked at them already, the covenants and conditions and restrictions.
So this would, help me here. This is now a townhome association?
Yes, yes. Instead
In
of a
all sense-
condominium.
Instead of a condominium association.
Right.
So New Century Town is condominium associations, and there is townhome associations. And they're governed by boards, just, I'm echoing here. They're governed by boards that are relatively the same. Condominiums, you own, if you own a condominium, you own from the paint in. Townhome associations, you own outside 5 feet normally out from the building is your personal property. The roofs, the outsides of the buildings are still yours, you own them, but they're controlled by the townhome association as to the color of the buildings, when they're all to be sided, the roofs are to be put on, you know. that
And there's
whole
an
thing.
accrual?
There is an accrual, there are funds that have to be set aside and funded by law.
And those documents are in place as part of these ordinances?
We're reviewing them right now, and quite honestly, we've had a lot of experience here recently doing this kind of REA. So we know exactly what you're saying and what you're looking for.
And they are
Okay.
guided by state laws.
So, all right.
Yeah, it'll
So
be,
as long as you guys say that my concerns are
Right.
being assuaged, then
We have
I'm
lost
good to go.
And I know the area you're talking about,
Yeah.
and you're right, it's not governed by a board. For whatever reason, it was never set up. It was sold as individual units.
right.
We have lost no control.
Yeah.
The shift of ownership entities does not at all limit or restrict
Right.
or lessen the controls we had before.
Thank you for the education.
Thank you.
So, other questions?
Anybody else? No? Any objections?
Then I have two motions for you all to make. The first would be a motion to find that the proposed amendment to the final plat, or planned unit development plat, as set forth in the proposed plat for Green Meadow Subdivision, is substantial, or is insubstantial, as established in subsection 20.2.5.1 of the zoning ordinance, and conforms with the approved preliminary plat. So that would be the first motion. And then the second motion would be to direct the staff to prepare the necessary ordinance amending ordinance 2006-19 to grant approval of the final planned unit development plat entitled Green Meadow Subdivision, subject to the following conditions. A, the village attorney's approval of the declaration of covenants, conditions, restrictions, easements, and party wall rights prior to issuance of a building permit. 2, the developer shall provide the necessary financial guarantee which would protect the existing subdivision improvements from damage during construction. And C, the conditions as previously approved in ordinance 2006-19 would apply to the petitioner Chicago Capital Holdings LLC and remain in full force and effect. So those would be the two motions that we would ask that you consider.
Let's do one at a time. Is there a motion on the first
So made.
Second.
motion and a second? Any comments or questions? There being none, can we have a roll call, please?
Trustee Hamda?
Aye.
Trustee Cook? Trustee Markwart?
Aye.
Trustee Schultz?
Aye.
Trustee Schwartz?
Aye.
Trustee Williams?
Aye. Motion carries. Do we have a motion on this second?
And this would be to direct the
So
staff.
made.
Direct staff to prepare documents.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Comments or questions? Being none, can we have a roll call, please?
Trustee Cook? Trustee Markwart?
Aye.
Trustee Schultz?
Aye.
Trustee Schwartz?
Aye.
Trustee Williams?
Aye.
Trustee Hebda?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is Opus Development Corporation consideration of a revised development plan for Port Clinton Place.
Thank you, Madam President. In your packet is the information related to the revised plan with regards to Port Clinton Place. You've seen several iterations over the last, I'd say about 18 months or so, that have provided for increases in the density for that portion of Port Clinton Place. As you will recall, this project was approved with 179 total units, being 47 townhomes and 132 condos in two 6-story, 66-unit buildings. Currently out on the site, there's 86 units completed and occupied, being 20 townhomes and 66 condo apartments. There are 93 units remaining to be constructed. Opus is proposing to modify the approved PUD to increase the number of remaining units to 117, which is an increase of 24 units. The multi-story building, which is Building A, would be 5 stories of residential over 1 story of parking and would include a total of 74 units within the building. That's an increase of 8 units over the previous PUD. Building B, which would be the portion of the project which fronts on Route 45, would be modified to replace the townhomes with 43 luxury purpose-built apartments. And again, that's identified as Building B. And with that, I will turn it over to Sean Spellman. He will walk you through the site plan and the revised elevations and answer any questions that you may have.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Fine, thank you. Would you state your name again for the clerk, please?
I will. Sean Spellman with Opus Development Corporation.
Thank you.
Good to see you again.
You too.
So we've been peddling quickly since we last met, and I think I met most of you one-on-one or two-on-two or however the rules go. But we've tried to take into account everybody's thoughts and considerations as we recast the development. And it was suggested to me by Trustee Schultz that I may want to go through and do a little history on what we had done in the past and what brought us to today, what brought me here today. So I put together a presentation. It can be really quick, but I want to go through for a few minutes and just go through a little bit of what we did, where we're at financially as a company, who Opus is, what we do a little bit, and then more specifically about this development. So I'll borrow a few minutes of your time. I think you know who we are, but I'll give you a quick summary of what we're doing lately. I will start out with the hard hat. This is Opus' 60th year in business. We're based out of Minnetonka, Minnesota. I want to go through a couple things just to talk about who we are and what we do. As an organization, we have 3 businesses that are intertwined, but all vertically integrated. We have our own internal architects and engineers group, Opus AE. We have a construction company, Opus Design Build, and a development company, Opus Development. The 3 of those companies are vertically aligned, and we work together really in-house to provide a full suite of services for our clients and for ourselves we develop. So just a little history on who we are. I want to talk a little bit about what we're doing and where we're at. Right now, Opus has locations in 8 cities throughout the Midwest. I run the Chicago office for Opus, and our headquarters is in Minneapolis. We have projects going on in all of these markets, and I'll talk a little bit about that over an experience. As a company, we operate in all food groups, government, industrial, institutional, residential, retail office. This is the Burr Ridge Village Center you may be familiar with on Burr Ridge. We do a lot of work across the country. Currently in Chicago, I'll walk through a quick couple things we're doing. The top project here is the Arboretum of Lyle, now renamed, recast the Avant Arboretum. This is a 310-unit purpose-built luxury apartment building in Lisle coming online right now. We just flipped through a couple others. We're doing things all over the country. In Minneapolis, we do student housing. We're doing projects in Ann Arbor, Michigan. As you flip through here, some things in Denver, Colorado, in the Lodo area, Missouri. The one on the left here is, I'm going to tour tomorrow, but it's up in our Minneapolis office. It is the Nick on 5th. It's the first luxury apartment high-rise in downtown Minneapolis to be built in over 20 years. We're pretty excited about that. It'll come online next year. And then there's other projects we're working on, this one in Kansas City, and then some things in Minnesota. This is student housing in Minnesota. But the purpose was of that was to just walk through some things we're working on and just talk about our multifamily experience locally. I'll go back to the beginning. What and how we got here, and I'll go really quick on this one. You know what happened. We initially had envisioned this plan a long time ago. This was the initial concept for Port Clinton Place, and essentially a time frame and timeline I put together just to show you where we were at. In 2002, we purchased the property, December 27th. We finally, and I say we, I use we loosely, I was nowhere to be seen, but Opus and Vernon Hills agreed to a redevelopment agreement in 2006. We completed public improvements in 2006 to 07. We began construction immediately thereafter on the row home and the tower project, and began to actually close on some of our first row homes in early 2008. The first 8 row home units, the very luxury high-end row homes, average price was $588,000. Lehman Brothers, just for point of reference, failed in September of 08, middle of the year, right as we were delivering, and right before we delivered the tower product. You can see immediately thereafter, you couldn't have asked for a more perfect storm, as we all know, of timing. But we delivered the tower product in February of 09. We had over 40 contracts on the units. Most of them fell out of contract. We did honor our obligation, closed on 6 of them. Prices ranged from $629 to $277 at the time. We then continued to sell row homes right up and through late last year. The last 2 were purchased at about $280,000. So if you look at the delta from where we started out at almost $600,000 to where we finished up, the values of the properties out there, obviously, and the demand, and ultimately, as the gentleman before me spoke to, the financing availability became very difficult. And so and to add insult to injury, our lender went out of business and was taken over by FDIC in the middle of the process. Our loan was transferred to a company in California called Sabal Financial. Sabal is a enormous institution whose business is buying loans cheap and then being difficult to get a hold of. So when we finally got a hold of them, we were able to purchase the note from them at par value this last February, and so now we control our own destiny. And so we own the note, we own the property, 100% fee simple, owned by Opus, and we can look forward now on the development as we look to recast the phase 2. So that's a little history. I hope that serves its purpose. I'll skip the rest of this. But I will go into, where do they put this thing? I think I'm going to go into, let me do design, the site. This is it. So what we've done for this, and I think this is in your packet, but I'll walk through a little more specifically here. We had really come up with 3 or 4 different iterations of this over the last year, and it was like squeezing a balloon. We were trying to move the density back and forth, and I think what we all settled on, and I'll use a we all with the capital W, is that we would push the density to the back tower facility, or back tower pad. So what we have now is a 5/2 structure. So it's 5 stories of living, 15 stories, or 15 units per story, 2 stories of parking, about 80 parking stalls, underground, indoor heated parking stalls on the A facility. With that, we went back to the B product. We had met with a number of people and had taken into council the direction that we were going was a little different last time we met, but we came back to our initial thought on this really being what we consider the front door to Vernon Hills and the town, and we thought that the presence in that corner really created, it was a strong presence, and we felt that it had an opportunity to be a front door and to really leave an image and an impression. So we spent some time on this elevation here on Unit B and on this outside elevation, and really thinking about how this laid out with respect to the adjacent Route 45. So as we go through, we'll talk through, these are some simple 2-dimensional elevations that talk about the building, a tower building. You can see, and you'll see in our renderings, that we tried to. I like the idea of transitional property. So what we did here was we took the concept of the tower, which was similar colors, similar materials, all masonry, and we added a stainless steel metal roof here, mansard style roof, to just break it up, and I think it creates a really unique, classy feel to the development. So I'll skim through these real quick and look at the rendering we had put together. As you look at the staying seam portion, I really like the way that it sets back with the dormer windows. It feels unique, and it certainly, I think, steps up the class level of the development as you transition from what's ultimately the existing tower to this transitional tower as we move around the row home pad. So this was an idea we had for this building. Here's a picture of this along with, this is really designed to render building A, but it has the building B in the foreground. I'll talk briefly about what we had done last time we came in, where we had 103 units in the building in the foreground with rooftop gardens in the front. And I think that was something that was well received, and we liked the concept, candidly. So we kept the rooftop garden in this design on both of the ends of the building. You can't see it as well here, but I'll show you in a different picture. But the ends are going to have outdoor accessible rooftop gardens. What we'll do is we will include what we're calling eco boxes up there, which are literally individual gardens where tenants and residents can take this outdoor space and use it as a personal gardening space. So the idea was to create a sense of community, a sense of outdoors, a sense of tranquility, and somewhere you can go and socialize, but also maybe have some of the benefits of fee simple ownership in a rental unit with the gardens and the outdoor spaces. So something we added back in here. Elevations of this building. This is really, this was done by BSB Architects, who have done a ton of quality work in town here. They're doing the Kinsey project. They did our phase 1 project as well. But we asked them to step it up a little bit on the elevation, and they came up with some really unique concepts with this trellis concept running through the development. So I'll show you what we did. If you look at the elevations, the trellises come through the development. This is the elevation as you look at it from Route 45, rendered from the entrance into really just past the Taxman development, just past the Village Center development as you're coming towards the Village Hall here. Again, the two end caps have the rooftop garden amenities, and we think it has a really unique feel, but it's also transitional, as we kept some of the elements in here of the flat roof, only so that it felt consistent with the balance of the development. So we wanted to make sure we kept some architectural consistency, but also made this feel really quaint and high-end. The units here are large for apartments, very large, and we're expecting that this will be a highly sought-after building because of its proximity to the amenities and proximity to the kind of the core downtown area there. I went through a few highlights of the project. I think I touched on most of these. Something to speak to is that we do anticipate, as we always have, these will be condo quality finishes, exterior and interior. Granite, stainless steel, simulated hardwood floors, 9-foot ceilings, very similar to what we do in any of our condo buildings as well. The one thing that I would like to talk a little more about is the parking. I heard you loud and clear on the parking. We had always hovered around the 2.0 to 1 ratio. We are now at 2.3 to 1 ratio. How we get there, and I'll skim back here. How we get there is there I don't think I have a pointer. Oh, yeah, there you go. I used the hand. So as the hand hovers, the concept was that the buildings themselves are each this building with the underground parking and the new outdoor parking is at 1.6 to 1. If you include, as it was intended to be done with the initial development, the parking in front of the building, we're now at 2 to 1 for this building. The concept was to keep the residential off of here, to landscape and create this as essentially a visitor lot for the entire development. So the math works out at 2.3 stalls per unit of the new units developed, but we think this will be used really by the row homes, although they really have no fee interest in them. Candidly, you can't control people park, and I think the idea of putting extra parking here makes a lot of sense for the overall development, and just to keep it less dense, to keep it feeling open, and we think that extra 0.3 that we get with this corner really helps the overall, I think, flexibility with tenancy out here. So the units here in the B building will have indoor garage spaces for rent if some tenants would like the indoor garage spaces. There are 8 indoor heated garage spaces in here. Those are all tandem spots. If you look at the stalls behind here, so technically, you could have 2 stalls. If you were to rent one, you could get the stall behind you if you wanted to park your husband or wife or boyfriend or girlfriend in, or kid or whoever. But we didn't count those in the counts. So those were not used in our calculations, as we didn't want to skew the numbers. So it's 2.3 to 1 without those tandem stalls. Those tandem stalls actually add to the calcs and would actually push it up above that. But in concept, though, if you rented a stall, you would get 2. So that's, and then there's an internal corridor in the building that you would then go to your unit via the corridor. So it is a secured indoor parking space for those residents who would like that. And in the A building, we have almost 80 stalls, so every unit would have at least one. Most, as we look at the development and you look at the unit mix, heavy in the 1 bedrooms, candidly, and so we think the parking's more than ample up here for what we're trying to do. It's just the highest parked development in town, and and by a long shot, the highest parked we've done across the country. It's a ton of parking. It's not cheap, but we're hoping people appreciate the extra parking. So as we go through here, one other thing that we were doing with the site plan that I wanted to just point out was that it was suggested that we do something with the pond at one point. I think it was something that Trustee Schultz or we had talked about. I believe it was the pond. We talked about moving parking and a lot of things. And as we came to just look at what we could do with the pond, we thought that the pond's such a nice amenity. This looks a little over landscaped. But in this area over here, we are adding 2 trellis areas with outdoor grills and outdoor seating. And there is a small walkway patio that goes out into the pond. We're going to add 2 more over here, and just as an amenity space for the residents to use with just outdoor grilling capabilities, but mainly a place to meet and entertain with some small tables and trellis areas. So a little additional upgrade to the pond area to add something extra to the development that's not there today.
Could you go back to that one a minute again?
Which one?
No,
Yes, ma'am.
the one showing the pond.
Oh, the pond, sorry. This one?
Okay, the building to the left,
Yes,
is that supposed to be the existing building?
that is the existing building.
Where, all right, the building on the right,
This one here is
the
existing.
underground parking on the end of the building
Yes.
comes out to this street, I believe that's Burn Parkway or something like
Well,
that.
this doesn't actually come to the street. This is a,
But you see what I'm saying, the street right there. No,
right here,
that
right
one.
here.
Nope, down here, coming, there, that.
It doesn't go through.
Is that,
The parking doesn't go through. And so this lot's a dead end lot. If you drive in here today, you have to turn your car around and drive back out. This does not, there's no curb cut here.
no, I didn't mean there was a curb cut there. If that is Burn Parkway, the existing building going to the underground parking comes off of Burn Parkway.
Over here in the middle.
Is that where Burn Parkway is now?
It shares the driveway going into the existing building. So
Correct.
the building that comes off of Burn into the existing building will be wide, and it will go into, it will be the common driveway between the 2 buildings.
With the elevations, you'll be able to drive
Seeing
in.
how that's gonna happen.
Well, that was
You're
the,
coming off of Town Center Road,
go to the
going to
site plan.
Port Clinton.
Okay.
Okay, right there.
Sure.
This is Port Clinton at the north, going around and coming back out to 45.
Correct.
At the bottom, you've got Town Center Road coming off of 45 there.
That's it,
The
yes.
street going from north to south is Burn Boulevard, I believe.
Right here. Okay.
The building, the existing building, the entry to their underground parking comes off of that street right there.
Yeah, there's 2, correct. There's 2
Okay.
entrances. There's both sides.
It's just the illusion then that the existing building is down the street and the new one's over here.
Yeah, so the entrance, there's an entrance here to one level of parking, entrance here to the other level of parking. There's no
Gotcha.
ramp in here, so
It's the illusion of the way
this
it's.
is, and with the grade of the site, the underground parking goes here, the on-grade parking goes here. Same thing with here. This is the on-grade lot, and this is
Right.
the underground lot. So this is actually first floor, this is,
It was just an illusion of your drawing, that's all. I thought, wait a minute, we were missing a building here someplace. Okay, I'm sorry.
no problem, I appreciate it. You have to use these slides some more.
Still looks like it when you look at that.
So,
I swear it does.
You know, I'd like to, spend a little bit of time. I'm not sure what you want to talk about, but I would like to at least address the fact of what the approved PUD looks like and what we're looking like from the proposed development standpoint. Essentially, from a unit standpoint, we are up per John's calcs. I think it was 24 units. But from a bedroom standpoint, this is what I was talking about last time we met. We've really reduced the density. We used to have the row homes were 3 and 4 bedrooms. A lot of the condos are 3 bedrooms. Now the biggest unit we have now is a 2-bedroom unit, and so it's a lot of 1 and 2 bedrooms here. Is really what we stuck with, and that was, I think, Trustee Hub, that was one of your suggestions, and that's what we did. So we stuck with the 1 and 2 bedrooms. The parking numbers, although the ratios are what they are, just the gross number of stalls, we were approved at 197. We're now at 270. So from just a gross number of parking stalls, we have a few more units. We have a lot less bedrooms. The metrics that we typically work, we anticipate about 1.3 residents per bedroom. We think we'll have almost, it looks like 80 less residents with 73 more parking stalls. So we think that this will really be a overparked, which is good, facility. There'll be plenty of room for parking. And we do think that we're not going to encourage it, and we certainly, but it's tough to control. As the town center gets busier, people may decide to park and walk, or I'm not sure how that may work. We're not looking for that, but we're certainly prepared for it with the overparking here.
Okay.
Just to show you, we did think about this. I put together a quick document on the height. We're looking to keep the height of the proposed apartment building the same as the existing row homes, and the proposed apartment building A will be a little bit lower than the existing condos. So this was just more of a shadow sketch to show that the heights are all in check with each other. I'll go through path quickly. Unit mix we just talked about a little bit, but 1 bed, 1 bed den, 2 beds are really what this whole development's about. I'll change the page. This is a little confusing. This one's a little easier to understand. This one talks a little bit, and John Calamar asked me to walk through what we anticipate for monthly rents and what we anticipate just from a unit mix. So this is the building A, which is the tower, and building B, which is the front building with the outdoor gardens. You can see that there's, and this is really a function of the site and a function of the best we could do with BSB's assistance. FAR was not an issue, so we tried to go as big as we could with the unit size, knowing that there's a premium for the bigger units. What we're looking at is really a well-balanced building with rents that are consistent with and candidly lower than some of the rents in the market, at least we're looking at. I'll flip back to this in a second. Let me flip forward one. I think it's here. Here we go. I put this together for you just so in case questions came up as to what the rents were looking like in the neighborhood and around the block. If you look at the Commons at Town Center, our neighbor, you can see where they're charging for a 1-bedroom, 1-bath. They're about $1,688 now. If you look at where they're at, so this is the rental ranges we're seeing. What we think will be the applicable, comparable ones in town and surrounding the town. The vacancy continues, as you know, from the Kinsey Group. I'm sure they've done some reports for you, but the vacancy continues to be very low, and the demand is still very strong because this market really has great employment still. CEW is looking to expand, and you see, there's some great employers in the neighborhood. So this I thought was important just to share with you as we go back and forth. I'll toggle back, if you don't mind, to here to look at what we anticipate. Another metric we use often is we typically assume that a renter will spend or can spend up to 35% of their gross income on rent. So we're looking like some pretty significant earners here as a renter. We know that the market can support this. We're confident in the direction of the market, but we do see that these are the gross household incomes, not individual, but household, that would be renting from us. So something to point out. And then, unless there's any specific questions, that really wraps up what we're trying to do on the site. And I think for us tonight, we'd like to see, or at least get some guidance and hopefully some approval on the density concepts, so we can start moving forward with some of our approvals. The plan for us from a timing standpoint and from a deliverable standpoint, we like to break ground, we like to get the approvals wrapped up this year if possible. It's real important we get them done in 2013 for us. Get our financing lined up, bank financing, which we don't have a plan to give them yet. We're not worried about lining it up. We just want to it has to happen this year. We think if we pedal really fast and start humping now, that this year is still a possible for us to get approvals. And then we break ground next spring, and the tower building and both buildings are 11 and 12 months respectively to build. So this would deliver sometime spring 2015, which we think is still a great time to be delivering.
Comments or questions?
I'm thrilled. There was concern that there is going to be a certain amount of diminishment of the quality that this was to represent with this Phase 2. I don't see it. In fact, I see really an upgrading from the original plan with the B building, and it's market-driven, so it's appropriate for the marketplace that we're in right now. I am thrilled that you're overparked. You and I have had that discussion many times, and I think it's quite appropriate that you're overparked. And I'm just very, very happy with what you provided here, along with the amenities that you're talking about adding to the pond, the exterior spaces on the roof. And I don't want to preempt any additional discussion, but I would love to make a motion to direct Opus to begin technical review so that we have a vote on record tonight for this. But I believe that you've brought us a product that we can be very, very proud of.
Thank you. I agree.
First, I believe that that you've changed the site drawing 3 times, I believe.
Or at least.
I think it's 4.
And guarantee there's been a lot of time and effort on your part. I personally don't see any fault in anything also to go forward. So.
I'll second Trustee Schultz's motion, and then thank you for the green space, because I think that's real important for those folks over there. It's just something that you see more and more, and it's kind of nice to see that coming in here too, versus just a place where you go in the door and you close it and then you walk away. So it looks really good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It looks really good.
It does look very nice, and I agree that the fourth time seems to be a charmer for you.
It is.
I am interested a little bit in your construction materials. As you know, I do live at Town Center, at least for right now. Is the construction consistent?
We have a
as
lease
far as-
special going for
There you
2015.
go. You're trying to entice me, are you? I'm always amazed that I don't hear a thing. When I'm in my unit, I hear nothing, unless I've got the door open or something and I hear it. But obviously, it's the type of materials in between the flooring and the walling. And I think that's very important for buildings of this caliber, that be considered and taken into consideration when you're deciding on those materials.
Absolutely. Yeah, as we do a lot of these across the country, and we have some pretty good tried and true methods. I think some of the materials that we certainly like to or we will follow fire and life safety requirements, obviously. I think that we'll be ultimately asking for the same variances that the Kinsey Group asked for, which are, I think, simple, but they all follow the trends of today. We have a couple things that we do, we think, a little bit differently, but we think it's better, but it's, 6 to 1, half dozen to the other. But we certainly take noise and sound into consideration, as well as fire life safety is a huge concern. So we'll work with staff on that.
Right. And I do have to commend you on putting that parking lot along Town Center and pushing the building back a little bit. That way it's parking lot to parking lot, at least it is right now anyhow. So that looks very nice in that area. It's a good job.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments? Not, could we have a roll call, please?
Trustee Markwart?
Aye.
Trustee Schultz?
Aye.
Trustee Schwartz?
Aye.
Trustee Williams?
Aye.
Trustee Hebda?
Aye.
Trustee Cook?
Proceed along to,
Madam President, maybe it would be appropriate also to have Bob give his
oh,
concept
yes,
plan
I forgot
spiel.
special
Leave it to the
speeches.
lawyer for the buzzkill. You were doing so well. This is concept review, just you get a consensus of where they're coming from, but it's not binding. When you go through the process and come back, this is not a binding vote on the board. It certainly gives you a great impression of where you're headed, especially based on your past.
Yes. I thank you.
Okay, thank you all.
Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is a holiday light show. Everybody's
Thank
interested
you.
in this one.
John and I met with representatives from Loyola University, excuse me, representing the Cuneo Mansion and Gardens. And they, as you know, have a proposal, if you don't mind, just pass that down. I think you've seen this email, but, excuse me, it really more pertains to the future development, proposed development than the light show. But as John noted to them, there really isn't any possibility, even if you concurred with the development, whatever future development plans proposed, as well as the county concurred with it, because they are proposing residential, that this would start before the holidays of 2013. So we asked them, could we do the light show again? And Cliff needs something to do during the holidays, so that's one of the reasons we thought of this. So if you concur, then on the next agenda, most likely we'll send the proposed agreement to them. We would do the same 70-30 split of revenues. They get 30, we get 70, and the involvement of Public Works, of course, which is extensive, as well as the police during the actual event, during that period from the day after Thanksgiving to the first week of January. If you concur, then we'll have that on the agenda, most likely for the 13th. So, on the light show, that is. And the proposed development, you may not see that, I don't know, John, who knows, for months
Right,
before they get it to us.
Yeah.
right.
Just as an aside, if this may or may not be the last, and we don't know, and we probably even won't know during the course of the event this year if it'll be the last or not, because there's a whole lot of what-ifs out there. But I'd like to see us come up with some kind of alternative plan for future in-town use of what we've created over the years.
Definitely.
I think of Big Bear and Little Bear with the island and the drive across, you know, those roads would have to be
I don't think that'll
rebuilt,
work.
those bridges and things. But again, I'm looking kind of long-term at
Nike
doing
site,
something,
Right.
even if it's not a fee-structured,
Nike.
but something where we could kind of traverse.
Look at Dave.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're going to make his life a living hell.
We have started, we have started to talk about
I
that.
think VHAC is
VHAC
what we should
is-
look at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good, good.
Yeah.
VHAC is probably your most likely area.
Exactly.
Mostly. It's great to go over a bridge and all that, but when you have to build you're gonna take cars.
Yeah,
on it.
you
We
know,
can't.
And we talked about Century Park would be nice.
Sure.
Yeah.
Put them on the islands.
Sure.
And then, if I may ask Trustee Schultz, what's the width of the front of your lot? We can see how many, we can see how many we can put on the
That's
front.
the problem. I can't even get a tree. I mean, because I'm a pie shape. But
Okay.
yeah, I'll take something and throw it in the middle of my lawn.
So,
Well, it's certainly something that we want to keep in mind, that we don't want to lose the light show altogether.
right.
You could run all the way down from the Park District from 60.
Oh, there you go. We could run just lights up and down your path or something.
We could have a lot of fun spending time talking about
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
alternatives,
sure.
I think, and we will.
But I think
I mean, it's unfortunate. It's a great tradition.
Right.
And it appears that, you know, it might, and I ran into Kevin Ginty at Mariano's in town today at lunchtime. And Kevin's, as you know, the general manager at Cuneo. And he indicated that they were, you know, I said, well, you know, he said it depends on development. I said, Kevin, you know, it'd be nice to find some way to do it going past this next year. And he said, you know, they're open to it, but I think, as John and I talked, it's pretty limited possibility.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
But even if we do a two-stage, still use the Cuneo Mansion area maybe.
Mhm.
And then say for the second stage, go into your path, go over to Nike site.
or
Maybe we could,
VHAC.
they could outline some of the construction activity and lights, and we
There
could
you
just
go.
wrap it around
There you
2x4s and stuff.
But, yes, this, don't lose sight of that show has become quite a tradition. I did send a little email out to my daughter saying, if you want the boys to see the light show, you better do it this year. And she was really upset. I was quite surprised. She says, we've been doing that since I was little. Yeah, right, that's the way it goes, things happen. But anyway, I get away from what we should be doing here, but definitely don't let the light show go away. Unless continue looking for a place to have it. Don't turn the lights off. Next item on the agenda is Compassionate Use of Medical Cannabis Pilot Program Act. I have a feeling the chief is going to be in the middle of this.
Oh, I
one,
get
too.
to do this one.
Oh, okay, both of you, go for it.
Yeah, this is a zoning issue.
I think as everybody knows, the legislature has passed this act, which authorizes qualifying patients that have been diagnosed by a physician as having a debilitating medical condition as defined by the law to use cannabis without being subject to arrest, prosecution, or denial of any right or privilege for the medical use of cannabis in accordance with the law. This is a 4-year pilot program, allows doctors to prescribe up to 2.5 ounces of marijuana each 2 weeks for intrastate sources to patients who have debilitating medical conditions. The important thing to note as a part of this law is it does override home rule authority. The law allows for certain exempted areas within your community, and it's predicated on 2,500 feet from the property line of pre-existing public and private schools, elementary or secondary schools, daycare centers, daycare homes, group daycare homes, or part-day child care facilities. We provided in your packet a copy of a map that shows those areas which would be restricted or exempted from the ability to locate a facility in town. And as you will notice, there's a fairly significant area which is covered by that exemption. I need to also note that the law allows for one distribution facility licensed by the state to operate within each Illinois Senate district. As you know, we are served by 2 Senate districts, the 26th and the 30th, with the 26th being primarily the mall and north into Greg's Landing, and the balance of the district being the 30th, being the balance of the remainder of the village itself. What we have not seen as of yet is anyone who has taken the step of developing a template for amending the zoning ordinance. Our zoning ordinance right now does not contemplate any type of use like this within any of our districts, and that to address the legislation and the loss of home rule authority, we need to contemplate the amendment to the zoning ordinance to address how these types of uses may be located within the village. Most of them are being discussed right now in terms of creating a special use permit category and some certain restrictions or uses associated with that special use. This would come back, obviously, or would go to the Planning and Zoning Commission and then obviously come back before the board for contemplation for amendment of the village code. What is in your packet is a draft resolution that would direct the Planning and Zoning Commission to hold a public hearing regarding the possible amendment of the code to allow this type of use within certain districts under certain conditions. The resolution basically states that within the 120 days after the signature to the act by the governor, or after the date, the effective date, which is January 1, within that 120-day period, the Plan Commission would hold a public hearing and consider amendments to the code. And that draft resolution is in your packet for your consideration. Tonight we're providing this to answer questions, get your direction, and if you feel that this is an appropriate action to take, it would be recommended that the staff be directed to place the resolution on the next agenda for your consideration. And I can answer any questions. The chief may have comments that he wants to include as a part of this. I don't know of any community right now that is really thrilled about having to do this, quite frankly. But the 120-day period allows us to create certain restrictions and to allow this type of use if, in fact, everyone said, hey, I found a location within the 26th or the 30th district within the village, and it allows us to regulate it. So from that, from a land use standpoint. So with that, I can answer any questions. Again, the chief may have comments also.
Again, this is kind of like the assault weapons ban. We have a timeline on this. If we don't do something now, then we'll be left with the consequences.
Right. I agree. I think it's something we need to do. Trustees?
My only concern would be I really would like to keep it out of the retail district. So keeping it in a OR&D or someplace like that, where we've got, a significant number of medical facilities already, such as along Lakeview Parkway there. And I think that would be a more appropriate location rather than as part of a head shop in the mall or wherever. So I'd like to see our zoning folks go to work on this and create those requirements, but hopefully they can incorporate that legally.
We'll have to look at how previous annexations and PUDs that had zoning provisions will impact this too. So, because as you see in the map, I mean, our areas are fairly limited, and one of those areas is Corporate Woods that has a BP zoning classification on it, and does have its own set of zoning provisions. So we'll have to look and see how that works. And if that impacts it. What we need is a couple of strategically placed daycares in town here to take us off the map completely.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah, it definitely would. Okay, so we need to do what exactly?
if you're comfortable with this coming back at the August 13th meeting, and you can give me that direction, that's fine. I will bring it back. And that'll bring the resolution back that basically provides public notice that the village at some point is going to amend the zoning ordinance once this goes into effect. So.
Okay. Again, I agree with Trustee Schultz. If you could come up with a little more restrictive map in some way or another, please try to do so. I'm not real comfortable with it, but we have to do something. That's for damn sure.
I can do it.
Okay. Let's try to get it back.
Thank you.
Any further questions, comments? No? Okay. Is anything else to come before the committee this evening? I think I got them all. Nope.
Yeah.
Not? Motion to adjourn?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. We're adjourned. Thank you.